Good morning. It's 8 a.m. here on Wednesday, January 21st. Today in Baton Rouge, you can expect rainy skies with a high of 67 in hour 2 of today's show. Dr. Stephen Etheridge joins us in studio for his weekly spot. Then at 8:30, LSU assistant women's basketball coach Bob Starkey hops on at 8:30. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at OTB_ESPN and watch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel. Hour number 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Raising Cane's studio, brought to you by Hood Dental, starts now.
Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn.
Okay, here we go.
Where the plays get broken down and science gets denied.
Hey, they said I got to come off the bench.
Hour 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Raising Cane's studio.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2 of OTB here live from the Raising Cane studio. And every Wednesday show brought to you by Hood Dental Care, hooddentalcare.com. Again, find the location nearest you and get your appointment set today. Hooddentalcare.com is the website where you can do so. All right, Dr. Stephen Etheridge is here with us, as he always is, at 8 a.m. on Wednesdays. Doc, how are we doing? I'm sure you're doing better now that Miami lost the national championship game.
Yeah, that always helps out a little bit. I had a little bit of pulling for them when they were playing, A&M and a couple teams. It was kind of a weird spot. But on this one,
I was pulling for them in the Fiesta Bowl. I think like most LSU fans probably were.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of those games. Both. Their wins prior to this, I had a hard time saying it, but I was kind of going their way. But
yeah, I will say this for them. Mario Cristobal's done a fantastic job of building that team kind of with the right people as well. I was very blown away at Media Day covering both teams, Indiana, but also Miami. Very mature team, well-spoken team, guys a little bit from everywhere that they pieced together. Mesidor's from Canada, right? He found his way from Canada to West Virginia and then down to Miami. So he's done a good job of bringing people into the culture that he wanted to build. So we've all dealt with Miami before.
They came off as likable.
Both teams came off as likable.
They're more likable than they've ever been.
Yes, I agree.
In my memory, and I still have a disdain just because of the
Florida State guy,
side. But and then look, our guy Coach O, his 2 of his boys are down there as GAs. So we can, or interns rather called now. Analysts. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So there's things we can pull for.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with Miami, the city of Miami, because I never really spent time down there before. Now, I left my hotel room twice to go to dinner, but still, outside of my room.
More than normal, though.
Yes. Outside of my room looked really good. No, but just walking around, like for Media Day at the convention center and different things, look, I can understand. Why somebody would go down there and be like, you know what, playing football down here looks like it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, not a bad place. It's expensive, but no state tax either, so there's things.
But you never really you didn't go out enough to get the full vibe of like why it's a great city and why it's fun, but like why, Miami Dolphins will probably never win a Super Bowl because kids that are like in their mid-20s, guys that are in their mid-20s, there's a lot of extracurriculars out there.
Yeah.
That you didn't find. There's a few distractions.
No. I leave my hotel room to go to dinner, and that's usually the only thing I do on the road because I can sleep, I can do this. But no, it was a very good time down in Miami. I thought they did a great job of hosting that game. All right, NFL playoffs, not just college football playoffs. Obviously, we're all paying attention to it, and there is a massive injury in the NFL. Bo Nix going to be out, and it happened very late in the game. And I don't even it's hard to even know when it when it happened because he still went out there, took a knee, did the whole deal. What's the latest there that you've heard? Because again, it wasn't an injury that we saw actually happen because he stayed in the game.
Yeah, they obviously said an ankle injury, specifically said an ankle fracture. They're at least to my knowledge, they haven't released the official which bone, which injury, but you can kind of make some speculations. You can kind of go with what's most likely, what's most probable with that type of an injury. With certain ankle fractures, you're not able to walk on it. So we know it's not one of those because he obviously got up, walked on it.
Yep.
I think they said it was like the second to last play where the play before the PI call that they had.
Yeah.
So, he went in for at least 2 more plays if that was an accurate statement. So, if it was that, you gotta, if we're making an assumption here, which, we all know the danger there, but probably, if I had to guess, probably some type of a little bit of avulsion injury or something. And again, the most common one is going to be the lower fibula, which is the bone on the outside of the lower leg that forms the ankle joint. Probably a fibula fracture. I think he'd had an old injury back when he was in college too, so maybe there was some bone spurring, some things from that could even contribute. It's hard to say, but probably a distal fibular fracture, probably something they had to go in and kind of reattach. But one that you could weight bear on, shouldn't for very long, but you could after the injury, depending on the severity of it.
Dog, adrenaline's a hell of a thing.
Yeah,
right. It's a hell of a thing because we saw Bo Nix doing post-game interviews, walking off the field, no limp.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm fracturing a leg bone, I'm at least going to limp a little bit, right? But adrenaline is one heck of a thing.
Well,
of course, I'm
if
sure
you hurt those
kid.
ankles, bud, that's a severe injury. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because they're so strong? Yeah,
because they're so
strong.
fat.
Massive.
Adrenaline can do a lot. It can only do so much. So, basically, you're saying, like, based on him being able to finish out a game, walk with no limp, yeah, he's got some of that pumping through him, but it excludes a lot of different injuries.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that just the stability wouldn't be there. And again, adrenaline, agreed, can take you a long way, but only so far. There are certain injuries, no matter how tough you are, no matter what adrenaline you got going through you, at the very minimum, you would see a limp there if you could even weight bear. So again, we at least know this probably isn't on that end of the spectrum. Now, after the adrenaline goes down, the ankle's going to swell up more. All those things are going to happen. It's going to be more painful. And to the idea of being able to play on it moving forward, both from a safety moving forward and then just being literally able to plant and push off of it. It's probably something that, once the adrenaline calmed down, that swelling set in, it's like, oof.
Didn't feel great.
It doesn't feel so good.
Can we kind of assume, though, that since he was able to bear weight on it, to walk with no limp, can we assume, like, this isn't going to be a long-term if it was during the middle of the season, like what kind of, based on what it could potentially be, based on the little information that you do have, handful of weeks type of situation?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And again, obviously we're making those assumptions, but if I had to guess, you're going to go in, you're going to do some type of fixation to probably a displaced, fragment of bone. If that's the case, you're looking anywhere from probably 4 to 12 weeks. I know that's kind of a wide window, but and then this is all kind of guessing. And then you kind of start your rehab and get back pretty quick, hopefully, but definitely rolling into next year for sure. Outside of some unknown issues, I don't think this will be something that, fortunately should not affect him long term based on what we assume.
If this was if it was a normal first week of the regular season, like how long, what would that timeline be if he was trying to get back to play?
Yeah. Well, so typically if you're going to go in and have this thing repaired, you're probably going to have non-weight bearing for, let's just say 4 to 8 weeks. I know that's kind of a wide window.
It's a season ender regardless of when it happened.
You could theoretically make the tail end of the season, if it wasn't a real serious one. And then sometimes too, like I said, maybe it was just a fragment of something. Maybe it was more of one of these kind of clean outs. And if that's the case, maybe you can shorten it a little bit. But if you're truly going in and stabilizing something, fixing something, especially in the foot and ankle that carries a lot of stress, there's going to be a few weeks non-weight bearing, a few weeks after that, you're still in a boot. So, I mean, maybe in 8 weeks on the short end. And again, that's kind of speculation a little bit. So theoretically, first week of the season, you might make the last fourth of the season, the playoffs, but most of the season, kind of like we saw with Burrow's foot injury. But he came back a little quicker than what we'd anticipated there. So some of the modern medicine stuff gives you a little shorter window.
And some of it's like, how much of a meathead are you too? Like now dealing with like a fracture or a ligament is different. And it's still the craziest thing that I've ever heard. Phillip Rivers tore his ACL in the AFC Championship game in 2007. He went in, and they kind of cleaned up around it, in and out real quick, whatever. And he played with no ACL in the AFC. It would have been divisional round. He tore it. Championship game he played in New England. Like, how in the world was he able to get that done?
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, honestly, I think that's everybody's made a little different.
Yeah.
And every aspect of that. One, there's truly physical differences. The anatomy of every knee is not perfectly the same. Some guys can function better without an ACL. There are guys historically, John Elway played without an ACL for most of his career.
Yeah.
There are guys that have been able to do it, whose knee, just the way they're built, they don't require this. But I mean, that's also a lot of mental toughness, just being honest, to be able to come back a week later knowing you had that injury, just thinking about it, plus just he had to be in pain. Yeah. It's not to say that I'm sure he felt it.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's I'm not, and I wouldn't recommend that, to be very clear.
Yeah, like hearing that as a doctor, you're like, your immediate reaction, that's impressive. Where were you like,
that's the meathead side of me saying that.
The team doctor,
absolutely should not have done that.
Doesn't have the best.
Yeah, the disclaimer there. That's,
so
I do not recommend that.
You're a high school athlete. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be like Phillip Rivers.
Be like Phillip Rivers. Just don't maybe be like the team doctor.
Yeah, don't be like the team doctor.
Yeah, but I mean, look, you got to get out there.
Yep.
Well, and look, I
asked that because I was like, if it's Bo Nix feels like somebody that has the same mentality as like a Phillip Rivers, and so I was thinking in my mind, like, if there was anything he could possibly do, like he would go out there. This is just something where it is what it is, and unfortunately for the Broncos fans, Jarrett Stidham's going to be your quarterback.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think this is one you could even do that. Not that the ACL is one you'd expect that, but part of it is, what did you have to do to fix it? And if you're going to go in there and put hardware and do all that, it is not going to be solid a week later. That much is 100% certain. And if you could really make yourself a lot worse, without a doubt. Even with playing without an ACL, you can mess your knee up. Which, the fact that he was able to do that. Not only that, the fact that he was able to go and play in games not that long ago
right.
with a knee that had that damage back then is actually pretty impressive too. Because that the concern would be that he'd have some arthritis and a bunch of other things, and that's pretty impressive.
When you're dealing with men, and in college we're dealing with men, right? And you're dealing with men that are having to make decisions in life, not just in sports and injuries, but like new decisions that they've never had to make before because they are of age, right? Which injuries do you allow them to decide whether they want to play or not?
Sure,
it's a good question, actually.
Yeah, it is, and so if we have an athlete that comes in, because you're correct, 99% of the athletes we have when they're at LSU are considered men. We occasionally have the 16 and 17-year-old early enrollees or whatever. In that scenario, we still have to talk to parents. Just so if we have somebody, unless maybe they've been emancipated or something like that.
Right.
So sometimes we do have to get the parents involved. Now, even if you are 19, 20, 21, if we have any kind of an injury, usually the first thing we do is we say, hey, do you want to get your mom or dad on the phone? Do you have a person that you want to have on just to help with the decision? So we don't necessarily always leave it 100% up to them in that regard. Because again, a lot of these, they're men, but they're also still kids.
Right.
It's a weird kind of crossover there. There are definitely injuries where we are going to say no. If there is a really heavy risk that you are going to injure yourself, if you have a concussion, for example, it's a hard no. I don't care if you want to play. If you have a concussion, you don't go back in.
Right. That's legal now. That's
and then obviously now, but and there's mandates and there's rules and there's all of those things. If it's, let's say, a musculoskeletal injury that has some risk, then we kind of have to talk it out. I don't know. I don't even know that I'd say that there's a real fine, clear line here. Because again, in the Phillip Rivers example, if that had been week one, I'm sure that would have been handled very differently.
Yeah, he'd had surgery.
Even at that stage, because this is a situation where, and that's what part of what sports medicine is. Even at the high school level, we have a discussion with people like, look, you have an injury that you might make worse, but if you're going into your senior year, and this is it, this is your last year to play football with your boys. We have that discussion because maybe you have an unstable shoulder, maybe you'll dislocate it, but you really want to go play the last 4 games with your team.
Yeah.
We talk about the risk, we talk about the benefits, we talk about how you can make yourself worse, and then we make a decision as a team in that scenario. And then as you get further and further down the spectrum of more severe, there is going to be a line, when it's really just, hey, you cannot play on this, is 100% unsafe. I don't know what that injury line is because it's going to be different for every body part and every individual and every circumstance. And then that same scenario, we have that senior kid. He's got 4 games left, but let's just say he just signed with LSU. He's got a scholarship. He's going to be going on to play. And he's got a future in sports. That discussion's different. Hey, do you really want to risk damaging that shoulder when it could jeopardize your future? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot that goes into it. Circumstance being a big part of it, but there are certain injuries we have to put our foot down. Just say, I'm sorry, you can't go on this.
I assume sometimes the coach has to do it too. It's like you can decide to play, but I'm not going to play you.
Right, and that's part of it too. Sometimes that definitely happens.
Yeah, because even like it's also caring for your player, but it's like, hey, you at 75% is not as good as the backup would be at 100%.
Right.
And you seen like I think Joe Burrow had an injury that was like 10% chance that you re-injure this worse, and it's 10% chance of rain means no rain, right? Like you're just like I'm a football player.
Yeah.
Like if I can go play, I play, and there's always a risk involved, right? Someone could snap my leg in half at any sport.
Yeah, and that's something we talk about. Look, if I'm playing with a right shoulder injury, I can also injure my left shoulder. And it's the risk exists no matter what we're doing. So I can't put anybody out there with zero risk. We know that it's a violent sport.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had a discussion with the mom in the clinic about that just the other day. She was asking me about her son playing ball in the future. He had an injury, and I was like, look, I can't tell you your son's never going to get hurt again. I can tell you this injury is going to get better. But you might get injured the first play, he goes back out there, and we all know that. So those discussions, we have them all the time, and at the end of the day, at the college level, as long as they're 18, it is their decision, unless it's one that obviously we put our foot down. But it's even if mom says I don't want you to play, they can at that level.
That's something to remember for every parent out there. Like if your son plays football the right way, he's gonna get an injury at some point.
Yeah.
You play football the right way.
I don't know anybody that
hopefully
played
it's
for an
not
extended period that didn't have an injury.
That's what I'm saying. Like they can be mild, they can be moderate, they can be severe. It's life.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about 06 when I had knee surgery like 8 days before the Sugar Bowl. And like Dr. Bankston's like, hey, like here's what it is. Like, and we're gonna go in there and we're gonna do it. I just want to let you know, like, and this is your decision. I know you want to do it this way. So like he laid out the entire plan for me, and then it's like, you got to make the decision. And again, like I was 70% of myself, but I was like, look, I'm not missing a Sugar Bowl against Notre Dame. And Dr. Bankston's like, hey, you're really like, you're not going to hurt it anymore, but it's going to hurt. It's not going to feel great, and you're not going to be able to do the things that you've always done. So like he did a great job of laying out everything it was. And of course, me being the meathead that I am, I'm like, yeah, do whatever you got to do because I'm playing in this game. Now I probably played, half, maybe not even half, 30% of the plays I normally play. But I mean, he laid out all the risk for me and allowed me to make the decision based off what he gave me and knowing I couldn't damage it any more than it already, what it was. So he's like, we got in and we got out.
Yeah, got it real quick.
It's and again, I tell patients a lot of times that's what makes sports medicine a little different. It's not just here's medical problem, here's solution. It's we got to talk it out. We got to look at all the variables.
Right.
And then there will be an injury where we say, I'm sorry, buddy, you cannot go. This is a zero. We are not medically clearing you to go. And then there's a lot of gray though between that and you're not injured. There's a whole spectrum of things, and all those things come into play. I had what did you play other sports? We had a kid who had a football injury, but his real sport was baseball. Yeah. And so it's like, hey, if you go back, you could re-aggravate this thing. Your baseball will be affected potentially.
Right. Yeah.
So basically said, I'm just going to focus on baseball moving forward. So, there's a lot of different things where if you've been just a football guy, probably goes back and plays. But it's there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of discussion, and it kind of really, at the end of the day, it's shared decision making most of the time.
I was at TJ Maxx one time, and I saw this motivational painting. It was right next to the Live, Laugh, Love painting.
Wait, you Hobby Lobby or TJ Maxx?
I think it's TJ Maxx.
Okay.
And it said, a ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what it was built for.
Truth. I like it. I like it.
So, there's a risk in everything.
Hey, that's stuck
Go
with
out
you.
there. That's what stuck with me. Go out there and live your life. Play some sports, people. Touch grass.
Touch grass.
Doc, we appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on with us as always.
My pleasure.
TJ Maxx. They got me.
Maxinista.
Right, more OTB when we come back here live from the Raising Cane studio.
Off the bench.
Live, laugh, love. All right, go to getgordon.com, the website for Gordon McKernan injury attorneys. Throughout the state of Louisiana, they're going to be able to help you out. When you go to that website, always know you can have a chat with a live agent right there on the homepage. You can get any questions answered. You can check out what they've done in the courtroom, past client results, all right there. Again, getgordon.com. If you want to pick up the phone, though, if you want to give them a call, no matter where you're listening to us in Louisiana, it is that area code followed by the 888-8888. And again, always on social media at Get Gordon. Get Gordon and get it done.
All right, Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys. If something's happened to you, if you've maybe had a car accident recently, maybe been injured on the job site, got a question about workers' comp, whatever it is, you can schedule a free consultation right there on their website, getgordon.com. We've seen the billboards. We've seen all the work they do in the communities with the G team. Licking their chops right now with this new portal class, over 40 people in it, but they're ready to roll over there. But at the heart of everything, they're here to fight for you. So if you got an injury, give them a call. GetGordon.com.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
2007 champs, purple and gold to the core. This is Off the Bench with Hester and Flynn, Baton Rouge's go-to for all things Louisiana sports.
All right, welcome back in. OTB here live from the Raising Cane's studio. If you have any roofing need, if you have any roofing issue, then you should go to pelicanroof.com. That is the website for our friends over at Pelican Roofing. 5-star reviews right there on the homepage. They don't try to hide them. They let you know exactly who they are, and that is 5-star service every single time with over 600 plus 5-star reviews. And when you can go to the homepage and the first thing you see is testimonials, you know you're going to get work done the right way the first time. In Lafayette, in Baton Rouge, we always say it, offices in both. They are both rooted in the local communities there in Lafayette, in Baton Rouge, and they just do it different. When you see their project, you can tell, man, these people care about what they do. They care about you. They care about the neighborhood that they're in, because when you drive up on one of their projects, you can't tell where they're at in the project because, I mean, it's clean, it's kept. There's not just stuff everywhere. There's not trucks everywhere. And they pride themselves on everything they do. So go to their website today. That is pelicanroof.com. Again, pelicanroof.com in Lafayette, in Baton Rouge, pelicanroof.com.
Did you say they just do it different? So it's just different here?
Yep. Lane's been trying to tell you all.
Who's talking about Pelican?
Probably. If he needs a new roof.
I'll be.
Or a roof repair.
I'll be. It was a great talk with Doc.
Always
a great talk.
Did y'all talk about the Broncos situation yesterday? Like with Jarrett Stidham having to just...
No, we talked about that Monday.
Do you have any Jarrett Stidham cards?
I don't have any Jarrett Stidham cards. I did hear
right
that
now that market's
cards,
up like 900%.
Yeah, they're like 900% right now, just in case. I almost, on Friday, I did almost go buy some CJ Stroud cards because I was like, man, there's a good chance that with that defense, they're going to win. And now, no, when was it? No, I did it I almost bought it Saturday night because Bo Nix hurt his ankle Saturday. And I was like, the winner of the Patriots-Texans is going to the Super Bowl. So, like, there's a good chance with that defense that if CJ Stroud doesn't screw it up, that the Texans are going to win.
But he did.
So let me go invest some in CJ Stroud cards because he's going to go, and then I'll flip him in like a week when they're in the Super Bowl. Yeah. I didn't pull the trigger. Thank God. Because that guy stinks.
Yeah, he's not very good, Bo. He is not very good. I was shocked they didn't go to Davis Mills. Shocked. He started multiple games in his NFL career.
I think kind of got like
when you got the yips, you got the yips, and he had them.
He's had them for 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. But in this game, like he was seeing ghosts. He wasn't reading anything. He was just out there throwing it up. Wasn't connecting.
Seeing ghosts is a real thing. I mean, Sam Darnold tried to tell you.
He did.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing ghosts out there. And you put pressure on yourself, and it's almost even worse for you with the yips knowing you have such a good defense because you're like, man, I'm letting them down right now. And I know it. Like, I'm not oblivious to the fact that I'm stinking it up. And then it hurts worse. And, like, it just starts snowballing from there. Even throws that weren't intercepted were bad. Like, a couple of good throws here and there. He's talented.
Yeah.
He's had games where he's played amazing.
Yeah.
Threw a pass so bad he tore his teammate's ACL.
That was bad.
And the weather can't be an excuse. You played at Ohio State.
Right. Oh, yeah.
The other team's playing in the same situation.
Yeah, that doesn't ever, I tell you what, man, the Patriots have played two really bad offenses in the playoffs, and they're going to face another one. Yeah, I would. The Broncos offense isn't incredibly dynamic anyways. They do enough to win, and they know who they are, which is always a positive. And this isn't a slight against Jarrett Stidham, but come on, man. You're about to, your first start's going to be in the playoffs. And I know you started a handful of games, but the Patriots' path to the Super Bowl, playing a Chargers team that was on their 10th and 11th offensive line, playing a team,
had a good road.
Texans, with C.J. Stroud looking like Chuck Knobloch out there, not being able to throw it from second to first.
Yeah, maybe the Patriots offense doesn't think the road was real easy because the Chargers defense was still good, and they had to play the Texans.
True.
Which, like, the Texans,
it's two top five defenses,
two top five and top one for sure.
Yeah,
with the Texans.
Yeah,
They were absolutely relentless. Danielle Hunter and my God, they were so good. I wanted to see them go. Like, as big of an offensive guy as I am, I think good offense always beats good defense. I want to see a lot of points. It was really fun watching that defense fly around. I was just like, come on, CJ, just like make a couple of plays.
Yeah.
Or just don't make a couple of bad plays and just do something, like poking him with a stick, like that little meme. Do something.
Yeah, do something.
But he didn't do anything. Well, he did something just for the other team.
Yeah, he did something.
So I think
not to help his team win.
Looking forward to, fast forward into the Super Bowl. I think, based on kind of what we're seeing, it's the NFC's Super Bowl to lose at this point.
Yeah.
Now, the Patriots are a fantastic team, incredibly coached. They got a great young quarterback. They have a really good defense. I don't think they're like phenomenal at any one thing. They have a great record versus a lot of teams with losing records. So that's not their fault.
Right.
They are not Notre Dame. They didn't try to play bad schedules. It just is what it is. And just like you said, in the playoffs, they've played two teams with just absolutely dead offenses. So I'm looking at the NFC as the favorite right now to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. And you've got two teams that are elite, I think, in the Seahawks and the Rams. They do a lot of things really, really well. And when healthy,
yep,
they're both incredibly tough to beat.
I think the Rams, to me, are one of the best unless they're playing the Panthers.
That's so true.
They don't play the Panthers well.
So true. God, the Panthers. Hey, if we play a bad team, we'll suck right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
But if we play an elite team,
we'll be as bad
we're
as
Hall
you,
of Famers.
possibly worse.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
But we played the NFL MVP with two of the best receivers in the league. We're going to play good that day.
Oh, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Super fun, though.
A little chaotic. It is fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have to watch a lot of Panthers games for Memphis being a fan of theirs. So
having something, if you're going to be bad, that's fine, but be good every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they were.
Mm-hmm.
They were great against great, good against good, and bad against bad. To the Panthers were this year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, let's talk a little LSU women's basketball, and we'll do that right here on OTB.
Off the bench.
All right, welcome back in. OTB here live from the Raising Cane studio. We're going to talk a little LSU women's hoops, and to do so, we are very honored to be joined by Bob Starkey, of course, assistant coach for the LSU Tigers. Good enough to join us here this morning. Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Well, I appreciate you having us on, talking a little women's basketball.
Oh, without question. And look, this team has been so much fun over the last couple of years, but certainly in this season, it's been a lot of fun to see, you have a very difficult schedule to start the SEC, and Coach Mulkey always talks about it. She's like, look, we are going to go through some times in the SEC. That's just what it is. But to see the team go through that, Coach, and then to come back and to go on the road in the SEC, get a couple of victories, against the Georgia, against the Oklahoma, and then you have a victory at home against Texas. I know you have to appreciate the response from the team after dropping two heartbreaking games to open up the SEC.
Well, we really do. And one of the things we came off that second loss on the road to Vanderbilt, and we went into our team room and we wrote a little simple quote up there: "Your attitude while you lose will affect when you start winning again." And I just thought our response to those losses, instead of pouting or pointing fingers, the kids stuck together, and we've seen a lot of growth in the last 2 weeks. And that's you got two directions you can take when you lose, and we take the right one. A lot of that goes to Kim Mulkey. I mean, she's just an incredible leader during difficult times, and but it's been really good to see our growth.
Well, Coach, you talked about kind of growing up in the last couple of weeks. Well, you started out SEC play with quite the schedule. 4 of your 5 in the top 25. The other one was undefeated. So, y'all were able to turn around and lose the first two, then win the next three in a row. And you talking about learning, like what Coach Mulkey, she's on our show, and we've talked to her kind of about all this, but I'd love to get kind of your take on when things like that happen, when bad things happen. Sometimes that's the best thing that can happen to a team and an athlete and a person in general, just in regular life, is adversity and how you fight through that. What have you seen from your team as far as like a leadership? Who has stepped up on the team?
Well, the main three have been, Flage and Michaela and Jada Richard. And but they we've had their leadership. We talk about those two losses, but we one of them was at the buzzer, and the other one was a 2-possession game. We're about 3 plays away from being undefeated, so it wasn't like we were playing horrible basketball. We just weren't making key plays at key times. I thought we did a pretty good job of going into the film room and dissecting what we did, how we do it sometimes. And those are the things that you see you have to take to the practice floor. And then when you get into another game opportunity, do you respond differently than you did? And those are the things that we've seen. But the great point on the leadership, but those 3 kids have been outstanding all year from that point.
All right, so, Coach, when you play a schedule, like you start the SEC with top 10 teams at the top, and then you go on the road against a good Georgia team, and then you come back against number 2 Texas, then you go back on the road against number 13 Oklahoma. The next couple of games are going to be against teams that aren't ranked in the top 25. But we all know they're still SEC teams. They are quality basketball teams. But is that something that you will mention with the team? Hey, just because this team doesn't have a little number next to their name, and I know we've played a lot that do, we can't allow this to be any kind of lull in the season?
Oh, 100%. And there's a lot of different ways we do that. We went in the film room yesterday to go over to A&M film. We brought up the point, that, guys, we pulled away from Georgia late. Well, guess what? Texas A&M was up on Georgia at Georgia by 19.
Yep.
They went to Florida and got a road win. And by the way, we played A&M at home last year with 4 minutes to go. It was a 2-point ball game. So you got to keep framing it. And then you're able to throw out some other scores in the league where teams go and get tripped up by lesser ranked teams. And, it's a challenge, though, as you guys know. It's more so a challenge now than, say, 5-10 years ago with social media and,
yep.
People get in their head. So keeping them focused on playing one game at a time is certainly what we're trying to do and trying to stay focused, because you don't want to give back the gains that we picked up the last week.
Yeah, because it brings up an interesting point, and I'm always so fascinated talking with coaches, college coaches, especially like in this day and age. Like, and I know you've coached for a long time. Like, what are the different challenges that come? We've talked to different coaches. It's like you have these players here with this in the NIL world and this new kind of landscape of college athletics, and you might have these kids for 1 year. How does that change the way you coach day in, day out, just in this kind of new world of college athletics?
Well, the thing that I found fascinating at LSU is with Coach Mulkey, she doesn't coach any differently. I would talk to Gino Auriemma a year ago, and he talked about he thought one of the problems college basketball was having is you had a lot of the younger coaches who are trying to coach different. They're not coaching kids as hard because they're worried about, pissing them off and them jumping in the portal. Kim really doesn't care about that. She's going to coach you hard. If you want to leave, she'll pat you on the back on the way out, and we'll go get some more. And I really, really appreciate her mindset to that. And then we're blessed to have players that want to be coached hard. And your biggest concern are the things that go on away from the floor, because these kids have such a larger circle of influence now. It's not just their parents. It's they all have lawyers and agents and marketing teams, and then there's just social media that has access to them. Those are the things that you worry about. But the thing I absolutely respect about Coach Mulkey is she refuses to compromise how she's going to coach them. And I think that's one of the reasons we've had the success we've had.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that Coach Mulkey is going to be Coach Mulkey, and that's one of the reasons why we love her, right? And no matter what, she is going to be Coach Mulkey, right, Coach?
100%. I think that's that's why the truly competitive players want to be coached hard.
Yep.
If somebody wants to leave because of hard coaching, then that's actually a blessing for us. And as somebody that works for, I really appreciate her approach.
Coach, that is such a great point, and it's not for everybody. And Coach Matt and I both played for Coach Saban, and I think we appreciate that style as well. Jimbo Fisher was the same way. Like, he was going to get after you, and I'm like, look, if you can't handle that, that's fine, but this is not the place for you. That's how they're going to coach you. I liked it. It let me know they're involved, they're invested in me, because if they're spending that much time to coach me like that, that means they see something in me, and they want to get to that point where they're getting that out of me.
And that's a great point. It's just not coaching them hard. It's them seeing all the work that our staff's putting in terms of preparation, and the staff that we're putting into them as people too. There's got to be buy-in on the part of the staff. People talk about tough love. Well, I think the love has to come before the tough, and I think Kim does. There's a side to Kim that people don't see unless they're around the program, and she genuinely cares about these players off the floor, and I think because of that, she can coach them hard, and they respect her for it.
And it's when everybody on the team is speaking the same message. You got a really good culture. And, to that point, we saw a great example of that in the college football world with Kurt Cignetti. Old school type coaching, tough mentality, but you can tell he's created a great culture. But you're so right. Like, a lot of the young coaches, new coaches, they feel like they have to adapt. It's an adapt or die. And I think most of them do if you don't have that natural persona. But a funny story, I was watching the game Monday night, the football game, and my son, who's 10 years old, he noticed it because he's used to seeing all these different types of coaches. And he's like, hey, Dad, that Indiana coach, he looks real mad all the time. And I'm like, yes, son, that's how the coaches should look. So it's just a cool world. So I know that we are certainly in good hands, and it's great to see the coaches like that who refuse to kind of change their coaching because that's who they are naturally. So
the perfect example is our Oklahoma game. We're up comfortably the last few minutes, and we take a couple of questionable shots, and our coaching staff's coaching them like it's a 2-point ball game. And because the score doesn't matter,
right?
I think the best coaches, the score has nothing to do with the possession. Each possession has a life of its own, and we're trying to coach each play, one play at a time, be the best that we can be. And it doesn't matter the score or the quarter, the situation. A lot of that. I know you guys are familiar with that. That's process talk from Coach Saban, right?
Yep.
So I think that's what the best ones do. I really do. In our world, I think we're losing some good coaches.
Yeah.
Coaches are tired of the NIL and the portal, and we talk with agents more than we do high school coaches, and I'm afraid we're losing the right people. You see a Jay Wright get out of it, and there's just some others. You just hate to see it.
Oh, I mean, legends of the game for sure. I mean, even Coach K when he got out of it, Coach Saban on the football side of things. Boeheim kind of gets out of it as well. So, I mean, it is a long list. But it is one of those things, Coach, and I think this is what Coach Mulkey and y'all as a staff, y'all do really well. Like even if you don't agree with it, don't like it, like you understand that things are changing and you got to do like those things to change with the game, or you'll be left at the train station holding your bag in hand, the train's going the other way. But you can still do it like we've talked about here already. You can still do it like in your same mold. You can coach the same way, but who evolves with that change, but also kind of still keeps who they are, that's the teams that's going to be the most successful.
100%. You have to embrace the change. You don't have to like it, but you have to embrace it. When I was at Texas A&M, Buzz Williams told me the coaches that are going to succeed in this day and time are going to be the ones with their head on a pivot. And, you look at Coach Mulkey, and she was the first coach of any sport in college basketball to hire an NIL coach. I mean, as soon as she went immediately and hired somebody, for us, it's Jen Roberts, who that's on her plate 24/7. So, is she crazy about NIL and portal? No. But what are we going to do to maximize it here at LSU?
All right, Coach, we appreciate your time. But before we let you go, maybe a little preview of the next game. Going to go back on the road, so back-to-back road games here. It's going to be actually, I believe, 4 or 5 that if you go back to the Vanderbilt game that are going to be on the road against Texas A&M coming up here in actually tomorrow. A game's going to tip tomorrow. Kind of a early look maybe at the Aggie basketball squad.
Well, it's we were talking about this the other day in a staff meeting. The thing that's crazy about our league is every team has a great point guard.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen so many teams in one conference with so many great point guards. In our next 2 games, Texas A&M has a kid named Pryor who's averaging about 13 points a game, but when they win, she averages 18 and 9 assists. I mean, she really dictates the flow of their game offensively and defensively. We just got through playing against Chavez. Then we'll come back the next Monday and we'll play against McGill. So for us, it's going to start on being able to contain their point guard, try and keep her out of the paint. They got a couple nice post players. They're a big paint team when they're successful. I think, they outscore opponents 35-23 in the paint when they win, but 21-36 the other way when they lose. So we're spending a lot of time in practice making sure that we're having good help, recovery, and rotations and taking the paint away. And then we're trying to make sure we get to the paint on our end, on the offensive end with transition, dribble penetration, et cetera. Then the other thing we're focusing in on is rebounds. They're +8 when they win and a -9. And we're always better when we rebound. And that's something that we struggled to do in those 2 losses that we were talking about. Yep. Kim came back and put a great emphasis on it. We've rebounded the ball better. But it's a road game. Heck, it's Texas A&M. And we got to show up and we got to put our best effort forward.
Yeah. No doubt about it. A place you know very well, a place that they can certainly raise their level of play at home. All right, he is Associate Head Coach Bob Starkey, good enough to join us here on OTB. Coach, we truly do appreciate the time. Best of luck coming up in College Station.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys very much.
Absolutely. Bob Starkey, a legend in the game, been in the game since 1984. That was his first year coaching there at West Virginia State and now here, and been at LSU for decades, a couple of different times, a couple of different stops at LSU. So glad we had a chance to catch up with him, and that team is certainly going in the right direction. All right, we will take a break. More OTB when we come back here live from the Raising Cane studio.
Off the bench.
All right, go to rouses.com, and you betcha. We are giving you a website for a grocery store.
Betcha?
Why? You betcha.
You betcha.
That feels like something Taylor would say. He's rubbing off on me. But when you go to the website, you can find that location nearest you. And if you're listening to us here in this area, there's going to be a location that's convenient for you. And once you find that location, check out the weekly ads on the website. That's why we give you that website. Also, if you are looking for king cake, it is king cake season over at Rouse's. Multiple flavors to choose from. If you like them, a little bit on the safer side, cinnamon like Flynn, you can get that. If you want to go a little wild side, a little Dr. Pepper king cake like Tay-Tay, you can do that as well. Go to rouses.com.
Yeah, go check them out. If you are looking for maybe a little quick lunch, maybe you got to buy lunch for the rest of the company. Maybe they got some sandwich trays over there. They got.
It feels like you've experienced that.
Oh yeah, no doubt. They got the best over there, pre-made. So make it easy on yourself. You can go grocery shop and cook yourself, or you can get ready to eat food right over there at Rouse's. Find your local Rouse's today.
Never mentions the word addiction.
From the locker room to the airwaves, it's Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn.
Yes, she'll tell you she's an orphan.
All right, welcome back in. OTB here live from the Raising Cane studio. Always want to remind you about our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products, Baton Rouge Business Journal. Probably not a surprise. Probably not a big surprise. Number one.
Yeah.
It was Gulf Coast Office Products in Baton Rouge. And really, it's the entire Gulf Coast. It's not just Baton Rouge. That's why they are the official partner with the Pelicans, with the Saints, with LSU, with the Ragin' Cajuns. You can go to gcopnet.com. That's the website for more information. So if you're a law firm, engineering firm, university, hospital, bank, whatever it is, and you know how important documents are to your business, they're the lifeline of your business. So you cannot be down, and you won't be, because when you call Gulf Coast, you're going to talk to the person that's going to be able to help you right then, right there, not transfer you and not source it out. It is always going to be that person. Incredible, incredible customer service. Go to gcopnet.com. I thought you were going to get a good question from Bob. He thought about it.
He was thinking about it.
I could tell he thought about it.
Oh.
And then he's like, I better not.
Mm-hmm. He's got too much.
Almost.
It's almost too much for that guy.
Yeah.
If I say it, is he even going to notice? Because he gets it so much. You gave me a good question with Doc, though.
You did. That was a good question. Shockingly.
I think we got a couple of good points.
We did. That's why I said, he gave a good point. I was like, yeah, can't really fist bump on that one. Close. It's close. But LSU basketball going on the road, 4-time in 5 games, and it's a team that probably learned through that loss. We brought it up a couple of different times. And that's why, like, Coach Mulkey's a little bit different than everybody else because, like, losing a game like that, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to go undefeated. She's like, look, we're not going undefeated. We play in the toughest league. College basketball has changed. What can we learn from a loss like that? And you lose 2 tough games like that, a lot of teams start to spiral. But what do? They go on the road and get a victory against a good Georgia team. They beat the number 2 team in the country in Texas, and they go back on the road and beat a top 15 team in Oklahoma. And this team has responded, I think, exactly how you would want them to.
Yep. Sometimes you just got to knuckle up. You ever heard that?
It feels like Three Ninjas, maybe, knuckle up. It feels like something we heard maybe from that
Ninja
movie.
Turtles? I don't know. But teams have to learn to win, to learn how to close a game. And it's subtle. It's a subtlety. It's like taking a shot or a free throw with the pressure on you.
Yeah.
Like you've been there. You've seen it. It's not like, okay, I got to do this differently. No, we're in position.
Yeah.
We're in the game. We just have to close it. And when you feel that feeling multiple times, then you get more comfortable with it. So that's what it means to learn how to win, learn how to close.
All right. Hour number 3 coming back your way.
Off the bench.
All right, over the last couple of months, we've been telling you about our friends over at Pala. But look, it's not just the last couple of months. They've been doing big things here in the Gulf Coast. I mean, it has been for multiple decades. So if you're looking for a company to do your major project, it is always going to be Pala. PalaGroup.com is always going to be the website. They are here in this local community. You see them all over the place, and it doesn't matter the size and the scope of the project. We always talk about they can help you in every different way, and they're going to be able to help you and do it right the very first time. That's how they stay in business for over 50 years. That's how they continue to thrive here in the Gulf Coast. So again, if you want to learn more information, you can go to their website. That's palagroup.com.
That's right. For over 50 years, Pala has been building confidence and building in the Gulf Coast with a reputation for safety, quality, craftsmanship that stands the test of time. Steel fabrication, precision piping, helical piles, tanks, vessels, industrial construction, and maintenance. Pala delivers results you can trust. So when safety, quality, and reliability matter, choose Pala. Go check them out today, palagroup.com.